Hari Om.
Om
Hari Om.
Tumeva Mata cha Pita
Hari Om.
Tumeva Bandhushcha Saka Tumeva Vidya Dravinam Tumeva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Shri Dakshinamurti Sudeshi Kendram Dvaipayanam Sutrakritam Munindram Sri Shankaram Bhashyakritam Yatindram Maddeshi Kanchapi Namami Vityai Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsarishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyah Sarvopaplavarahita Prajnana Ganaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivahamasmi Om Prapannaparijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Mritaduhe Namaha Krishnaya Paramatmane. Pranams everyone. We are in the second chapter, 46th sloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Yāvān artah udapāne sarvataḥ saṃplutodake tāvān sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. So we had started on this sloka in last class, basically where Bhagavan says that karma yoga will ultimately lead to moksha, and for a person who has attained moksha, nothing in this world is required for him, including that of the Vedas. So this is the essence of this sloka, and we talked about in the last class how the benefit of sacrificing small pleasures by a karma yogi, and then by sacrificing those small pleasures he performs karma yoga, and then he performs jnana yoga, and then he attains moksha. Once he attains moksha, that moksha is of limitless happiness. It is infinite happiness. So all these small pleasures, whatever he had actually sacrificed, whatever he had renunciated, are immaterial. So that is what we saw as through a story of a king who sacrificed his kingdom and became a monk. We saw that in the last class. Now here, what does Bhagavan say? Bhagavan says, a Jnani does not need the karma kanda of the Vedas. I am clearly saying karma kanda of the Vedas. A Jnani does not need the karma kanda of the Vedas, which means do not confuse with karma yoga. Karma yoga is needed. Karma kanda of the Vedas, where the Vedas talk about material pleasures, about seeking wealth, seeking people, seeking relations, seeking power, all those things that the Vedas give some certain yajnas and things to follow, rituals to follow, those things are not needed for a Jnani. A Jnani gets complete contentment just out of that knowledge, and he gets much more happiness than whatever little he had sacrificed in his life. And Bhagavan, how does he explain this? He gives an example. He says, imagine there is a large body of water, a vast freshwater lake with pure water, huge, almost ocean-like. And then next to it, there is a small body of water, like a pond, just capable of having some few liters of water. Now, just as the small pond is not useful when you have this large ocean-like freshwater body, in the same manner, the karma kanda of the Vedas cannot be of any use to a person who has already attained immense happiness, limitless happiness. So the Jnana Kanda is compared to the large body of the water, which means the Vedanta, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita is compared to this large body of water, and the Karma Kanda is compared to the small body of water, the pond-like water body. Now, that's the comparison made here. So Bhagavan says, whatever little benefit that this pond can give when there is a large body of water, That is the amount of benefit that karma kanda of Vedas can give to a person who has already gained the benefit through Jnana Yoga. Basically, it means there is no value or utility for the small water body. Just like a person, when he actually takes bath in an ocean, he gets the benefit of taking bath in all the rivers, because all the rivers merge into the ocean. So what benefit can a small river give to a person who has already taken bath in the ocean? In the same way, once a person gets the benefit from Jnana Yoga, Karma Kanda of the Vedas, or even Karma Yoga for that matter, will not give any benefit, because whatever he has to achieve, he has already achieved. Although we may have to understand, to get to Jnana Yoga, a person must, to start with, follow the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, live by the Vedas, then mature into following Karma Yoga, and then come to Jnana Yoga, and then Jnana. And once he gets Jnana, he gets Purnatva, immense benefits. Now we'll go to the Sloka. Yāvān artah udapāne, sarvataḥ saṃplutodake. Yāvān. Yāvān means how much. Yāvān artah. Artah here means benefit. Artah does not mean meaning here. Benefit. Yāvān artah. How much benefit? Udapāne. Udapāne means a pond. How much benefit is available in a pond? Yāvān artah udapāne, sarvataḥ saṃplutodake. Sarvataḥ, everywhere. Saṃplutodake means flood, like when there is flood, which means a huge body of water. So how much benefit can a pond give when there is a flood-like water everywhere? See, when there is no water, like in a desert, a small pond of water is like a huge blessing. It can be a lifesaver also. But here, when there is a huge body of water already, an ocean-like freshwater body already present, how much of benefit can a small water body provide? Basically, there is no benefit. Now, Bhagavan says, Tāvān, in the same manner. Tāvān means is the same, or in the same manner. Sarveshu Vedeshu. Tāvān sarveshu Vedeshu. Sarveshu Vedeshu. Whatever benefit that is available in the entirety of the Vedas, whatever benefit is available in all the Vedas, which means the Karma Kanda of the Vedas here, whatever benefit that the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, so it is the same as whatever benefits that these Karma Kanda of the Vedas can provide. So the comparison is whatever the pond can give as a benefit when there is a large body of water, in the same manner, or is the same benefit that a Karma Kanda of Vedas can provide. For who? Vijanataḥ brahmanasya. Vijanataḥ brahmanasya. For a wise Brahmin. For a wise Brahmin. For a person who has attained Jnana. Here, Vijanataḥ refers to the person who has done Jnana Yoga sadhana. Vijanataḥ. And attained Jnana. And Brahmanasya is referred to the person who is in Sattva Guna. Who is in Sattva Guna. Upanishad says, Brahmano nirveda mayat. A person who is in Sattva Guna. Nirvedam means who has got Vairagya, Sattva Guna, who has overcome Yoga Kshema, who has overcome Nirdvanda, who has overcome Dvanda. One who is qualified is called as Brahmana. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Brahma janati iti Brahmanan. One who has the knowledge of Brahman is Brahmana. So that is the meaning of Brahmana here. Brahmanasya vijanataḥ. Another meaning we can say is one who lives a life, who lives a disciplined life according to Vedas. One who lives to study the Vedas, understand the Vedas and live by the Vedas. So in Jnana Kanda or wherever we are talking about in Upanishads, Vedanta, in Bhagavad Gita, wherever we are saying Brahmana, the term Brahmana has to be taken from the standpoint of guna. It cannot be taken from the standpoint of jati, which means birth. In Karma Yoga, when we are in Karma Kanda of the Vedas, when we are talking about all the rituals, in the Veda Purva Bhaga, the Varnas will have to be taken according to the birth. If the Vedas say only Kshatriya can do Rajasuya Yajna, then only a Kshatriya can do. At that time, we cannot claim, I have the guna and therefore I can do it. In the Veda Purva Bhaga, it's all based on Varna. In the Varna according to Jati, and in the Jnana Kanda, it's all based on guna. So here, Vijanataha Brahmanasya, a wise person, a person. So Vijanataha Brahmanaha, here we can say, is a person who has lived life according to the Karma Yoga, and Vijanataha is a person who has lived the life of Jnana Yoga. So that is what Bhagavan says here. There is no benefit from Vedas for a wise person. Entire Vedas, Sarveshu Vedeshu, even the entire Veda will not be of any benefit to the person, or will give the same benefit to the person as much as a small pond of water can give to a person when there is a large body of fresh water. When there is a large source of pure fresh water, what can a muddle or a pond can provide? In the same manner, for a person who has attained Jnana, this entire Vedas would be of literally no use. So Karma Kanda of the Vedas will not be of any use to Vijanataha, because why? We already saw in the last Sloka, Karma Kanda talks of Traigunya Vishaya Veda. It only talks about those three gunas. And this person is already Nistraigunya. He is already crossed the gunas. Of course, as I keep reminding, Karma Kanda of the Vedas initially is helpful to overcome all our desires. Then we get into Karma Yoga. We follow Karma Yoga. That is the first step of spiritual growth. And then there, after Karma Yoga, we come to Jnana Yoga, and then we take we attain moksha, or we attain that Jnana. So Bhagavan here has spoken on the greatness of Karma Yoga, because once we come into Karma Yoga, once we start performing Karma Yoga, Bhagavan promises that it will automatically take us to Jnana Yoga. If we continue to perform Karma Yoga, we need not even think, oh, when should I stop Karma Yoga? When should I get into Jnana Yoga? It does not matter. If we start performing Karma Yoga, Bhagavan will automatically provide us it's as if we have actually stepped onto an escalator. Bhagavan will automatically take us to the right path. You are already on the right path. Bhagavan will automatically take us to through the spiritual ladder. Okay. So this is the meaning of this Sloka 46. Now Sloka 47 is an important Sloka, Bhagavan, where he is defining Karma Yoga. And it is a very most quoted Sloka among probably entire Bhagavad Gita. Sloka 47. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma palaheturbuhu ma te sankostva karmani. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma palaheturbuhu ma te sankostva karmani. As I said, it's a very often quoted Sloka. 47 and 48 give the principles of Karma Yoga, or the Karma Yoga Lakshana. Basically, Bhagavan plants the seed of Karma Yoga in these two slokas, and in the next chapter 3, we will see the entire tree of Karma Yoga. The Karma Yoga will be threadbare analysis will be done in the next chapter. But here he gives a very important fact of life. He basically gives a fact of life which we seem to understand at times, but we forget most of the times. And this is an important shloka to keep reminding ourselves about the fact of life. Now, this shloka can be interpreted in two ways. One as essence of Karma Yoga, or we can also take it as a general advice to Arjuna. The most popular sort of essence of this shloka is actually, it is treated as essence of Karma Yoga. So first we will see this shloka as the essence of Karma Yoga. Now, what is Karma Yoga? In our life, we get involved in so many activities, various activities. Some actions are our duties. As a role that we perform, we need to do certain duties. Some actions that we undertake may not be our duties, but we do it out of our desire. And whatever we do it out of our desire are all optional actions. These are not a must-do actions. But we indulge in actions. We indulge in actions from morning till evening. Not only when we act, we also experience the outcome of the actions. So we do karma and we also experience karma phala. So at times we are karta, and even as we are karta, we are also experiencing the results, and therefore we are also bhokta. The one who is experiencing, the jiva is experiencing the phala, the fruits of the action. Now, what should be the attitude when we do the action, and what should be the attitude when we experience these results? That is what Karma Yoga talks about. Karma Yoga talks about the attitude that a person must have when performing an action, the attitude that a person must have when experiencing the results of the action, whatever may be that, good, bad or ugly, whatever. Karma Yoga is not talking about, or will not talk about, doing a particular action. For example, we will not say like from morning 5 to 6 I will do Karma Yoga. It does not work that way. For example, we may say I want to go, I go to temple every day, and for that we will have to give time separately. From 7 to 8 I normally go to the temples. That is fine. But we don't say from 7 to 8 I do Karma Yoga. There is no need for us to allocate any particular time to do Karma Yoga. Because Karma Yoga is only about the attitude that we need to keep when performing actions. Whatever actions we perform, there is an attitude that we have to have in our mind or take as sankalpa. And it is also about the attitude that we need to have when experiencing the outcome, when we are getting the results. Having said that, remember, there are certain actions that are allowed in Karma Yoga, there are certain actions that are not allowed. All the duties come under Karma Yoga. But there are certain actions that are not allowed as part of Karma Yoga. For example, it says do not drink, do not do himsa, do not cheat. It's all nishiddha karma, or should not be performed. But Karma Yoga is about the attitude that we need to keep on our duties and also on actions that arise out of our desires. So, attitude that we have on both duties as well as those actions, optional actions that we perform on a daily basis, which is purely driven out of our desire. And of course, the attitude that one must have both on the outcome of the duties as well as the outcome of whatever actions that we did out of desire. And that is why, because it's all based on the attitude, it is not exactly an action. Bhagavan even gives this Karma Yoga another name called Buddhi Yoga, because it is an attitude that we have to have in the mind or the intellect that we have to have in our buddhi. First of all, attitude is not action. But even for us to get have this attitude in our mind, it is not easy to have this attitude in mind unless I have some basic knowledge about how this world operates, how the actions are performed, and I need to understand certain facts. Only with certain facts I will be able to convince myself that I need to have this attitude. This attitude I can get only if I have a proper understanding, proper knowledge. For anything for that matter. If I have to have an attitude on certain things, I need to have a proper understanding or knowledge of the person or the object. For example, if I meet someone in a group setting and then I meet that person for the first time, I cannot immediately I'm going to be friends with this person. Friendship, I'm going to be a close friend to this person. We cannot get that attitude immediately because we need to know the person. Because as we move closer to the person, we get more information, and then our attitude will be driven by that understanding. Therefore, if Karma Yoga is about having that attitude, then for us to have that attitude, we need to have certain information, certain knowledge, certain basic facts, basic principles that we need to know about how the world operates. All our actions are in this world. So I need to understand how this world operates, how does the actions get converted into results. I need to understand that. In fact, even for Ishvara Bhakti, the reason why some of our bhakti is not strong enough with Bhagavan, one is of course Shraddha, the second is also because we do not have enough knowledge about Ishvara. If we have enough knowledge about Ishvara, the bhakti will automatically increase. The devotion is dependent on the knowledge of Ishvara. Love and knowledge. The devotion is nothing but love to a higher principle. So love and knowledge always go together. Love on a person depends on the knowledge we have on that person. Therefore, to have that attitude, we need to have the knowledge. And Bhagavan gives the knowledge or the fact, the general fact of this world in this 47th sloka. So this 47th sloka is important because it speaks or it reminds us about the knowledge of this world, the way the world operates, so that the required attitude for Karma Yoga, I know how to actually have that, or I'm able to have that attitude of Karma Yoga while performing actions. So let us see what is the fact that Bhagavan gives here. Once we understand this, we need not struggle to get this attitude. This bhavana will come automatically. Karma Yoga bhavana will come automatically. But we need to actually, after listening to this sloka, we may have to reflect this, whatever we discuss here, we'll have to reflect this across various situations in life, apply it, keep applying it, try to see the past and keep applying this. Thereby we will be able to convince ourselves in keeping this attitude. So let's see the sloka. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. Karmani eva adhikaraha te. Karmani eva adhikaraha te. Te means you have. Here it refers to Arjuna, but we can also take all Jivarasis in general. Te means you. Bhagavan is addressing us. You have. Adhikaraha. Adhikaraha means choice. You have a choice in your hands. Choice over what? Bhagavan says, Karmani eva. over action alone. You have a choice over action alone. So basically what Ishvara says, Ishvara has given us a choice in picking up the actions. So we have a free will on that. And what do we generally expect after that? Once we do any action, we expect more choice on the results. So I've done my actions, now I want my results also to happen the way I have a choice over my action. I want my right over the results. Bhagavan says, Ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma, never. Bhagavan says, never. Kadachana, never. Ma kadachana, never. Where phalesu, over results. Bhagavan says, we do not have a choice or right on the results. And this is the fact. This is the rule. This is the rule in which this world operates. And the problem is we do not seem to understand or get around this. In fact, we understand the rule the other way around. We want the rights on the results. We want a choice on the results, but not as much on the action. So I want to get a promotion, but I don't want to work hard. I want to pass the exam, but I don't want to study hard. I want somebody to love me, but I don't want to put the effort. So it's always we want to have a choice on the rights or choice on the results, but not on the action itself. But Bhagavan says you have a free will on action, but there is no free will on the results. We'll see a few examples. Suppose I sit to eat, and on the plate there are multiple things. Now eating is an action that I perform, and I have a choice, or we have a choice on what to eat and what not to eat. So we can go, or rather we should go by what is our age, what is my body structure, what my body can take, what my body cannot take, what is my doctor's advice, and eat what we are supposed to eat. But then we have a choice. So definitely we have a choice. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. We have a choice on the action. But once the action is completed, we do not have a choice or free will on the results. Even though I may have eaten the right food, the way it actually goes into my body, and it creates whether it creates a problem, whether it is actually converting itself into nutrition, or whether it is creating issues, I don't have a result. I don't have a choice. Whether it's going to put on weight for me, or whether it is going to give me any kind of diarrhea or anything, I don't have a choice. We want to eat well, and yet we do not want to have a weight. We don't want to grow heavy, or we don't want to grow fat. Sometimes we don't know how we put on weight. Sometimes we just bloat. We don't know. Because there is no choice on result. Once we perform an action, the result will take its own course. We cannot say, I did this job because with a particular desire in my mind. I did this because I wanted that. And therefore, because I did it, I should get it. The result should be as per what I desired. Bhagavan says, no. That's not how the world works. That's not how the nature works. And we all know, Dasharatha, Rama's father, Dasharatha, he released an arrow in a direction when he was young, even before Rama was born. Dasharatha had released an arrow in a direction thinking it was an elephant. Now, when he released that arrow, he had a choice in that action. He could have either released it, or he need not have released it, or he could have released it in any other direction as well. But once he released it, then he came to know that it was not an elephant, but a human being. It was Shravana Kumar. And then because he killed Shravana Kumar through this arrow, he got a curse from Shravana Kumar's, the boy's parents. Now, could Dasharatha say, my desire was to kill an elephant. I did this, so can I escape from the curse? Because my desire was to actually kill the elephant and not Shravana Kumar. Can I escape from the curse? No. Or can he say, I was the one who released the arrow, so can I decide on where it should hit? Because I have released the arrow, now I should be the one who should decide where it should hit? No. You've released the arrow. Where it should hit, whom it should hit, it's not in your hands. Or can he say, the arrow is mine and therefore I have a right to ask it to stop when I want it to stop? No. Once an action gets into the universe, once a word goes into once the energy is released from us, whether it is a energy through verbal, through mental energy, through physical energy, whatever work that we do, whatever actions we do, once the energy gets released from our body or through our mind, whatever, body, mind, then we cannot stop it. That will take its own course and there will be a result for it. Until the action is performed, the choice is with me. Until I do that, it is with me. But after that, the result, it's not in my course. It will take its natural course. We do not have a choice on result. And we have to face whatever be the result. The feeling that the result will have to be according to what I desire. Bhagavan says, you cannot have it. It's wrong. That's not how the world works. This expectation of us, this expectation that the result must be according to what I desire. I will be like this, the other person should be able to accommodate me, should be able to like me, should be able to include me, should be able to treat me well. It is not correct, because it is according to what I desire. If we understand this expectation to be faulty, then first, even though I may not have a complete right over the results, at least we'll start making the right choices on action. We may not have a complete choice or a right over the results, but at least we'll start making some wise choices with regards to what action we take. Now let us come to the first line. Karmanyeva adhikaraha. You have a choice on action. Now the question comes, choice over action. What sort of choices I have over action? What sort of choices? For any action, Shastra says we have three choices. One, kartum shakyam. We can do that action. For example, I want to criticize someone. I want to slander someone. The choice is with me. I want to curse someone. Choice is with me. Kartum shakyam. We can do that action. Or the second choice is akartum shakyam. We cannot do the action. We can be silent. That's also with us. Then the third, anyata kartum shakyam. We can do that action in a different way. For example, instead of criticizing, we can say that the same thing in a different, nice manner. So, kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyata kartum shakyam. There are three choices with regards to any action that we do. So, what that means? Now, we should be responsible to use this choice. This choice judiciously and intelligently. We have to use this choice in a proper manner. And to use this choice in a proper manner, our mindset should have been in sattva guna. So we should be, to do the right action, the mindset should be in sattva guna. So which means if we have to ensure that our tamo guna is replaced by rajo is replaced by sattva, only then we will be able to take wise actions. The action, the bhavana, the attitude is actually correlated. The more good actions we do, the more good attitude we will get. The more good attitude we have, the more correct actions we will take. So we will have to ensure that we are in this cycle and not in the other cycle where the more wrong actions we take, the more wrong attitude we get, and the more wrong attitude we have, the more wrong actions we take. So we have to ensure that we are in the right cycle. Now, once this action is performed, coming to the next stage, Bhagavan says, we do not have a choice on the results of the action. What we need to notice here is, Bhagavan is not asking us. So, look, there is no choice on the results. But Bhagavan does not say, do not have any expectation. He does not say, do not have any expectation on the result. Some people misinterpret this sloka to say, you have a choice over the actions, but do not have any expectation on the results. No, that is not how you have to understand this sloka. You can have this expectation on the results. In fact, we cannot perform any action without having an expectation in our mind. We always have a result in mind when we start doing the action. So it is not possible. Suppose even if I travel from this place to another place, if I start walking, I should know where I need to go. I should know what is the result before I perform the action. So expectation on the result is a must. We cannot avoid it. Is that wrong? No. Expectation on the result is not wrong. What is wrong is that the result must be according to my desire. The result must be according to my expectation. That my expectation must be fulfilled. That is wrong. We do not have the right to determine the kind of result that we will have for the action we perform. So this is, now Bhagavan also, third point that Bhagavan mentions here, ma karma pala hetur buhu mate sangostva karmani. He says, now before we go to this word's meanings, Bhagavan says initially we have a choice on the actions but not on the results. Now I might get a doubt. I would say, what if I have a right on action but not on outcome? Then why would I even act? If there is no right on the outcome, why should I even act? It is like I have a right in working in the office, but I have no right on the salary that will be paid at the end of the month. How does it seem to be right? When I have a right on action, I should have a right on the result also. Now, that could be the doubt that people might have, and Bhagavan is clarifying this in the second line. He says, there are two outcomes to whatever actions we perform. Whatever actions we do, there are two outcomes. One, drishtapalam. Two, adrishtapalam. Drishtapalam is whatever we can see. Adrishtapalam is whatever we cannot see. Adrishtapalam is what is commonly referred to as papa and punya by shastras. I am not able to see the papa or punya. That is why it is called as adrishtapalam. So whenever I perform an action, there are two results, drishta and adrishta. Suppose I do dhanam. Suppose we do dhanam to a person. Now the drishtapalam is the item gets reduced from my side, whatever I had, and it gets into the hand of the other person. This is the drishtapalam. Whatever I have, suppose I have X amount of money, I give Y. Now X minus Y is what I have. Y amount of money is out of my hand. and the other person gets Y amount of money. His money gets increased from Z to Z plus Y. That is the Drishtapalam. The Adrishtapalam is Punya. Suppose if we steal something from others, the Drishtapalam is that I get something from that item. I get this item I get added into my possession. But the Adrishtapalam is Papa. The Drishtapalam is in our experience. I can experience this immediately. Drishtam. The Adrishtapalam is invisible. Invisible. I don't know. I am not able to see that. Now the next question is, on what basis is the Adrishtapalam determined? On what basis the Adrishtapalam is determined? It does not depend on the action at all. The action could be by the body or by the words that are spoken. The body acts, but what determines the Adrishtapalam is the bhavana, the attitude in the mind. When the body acts, what is the attitude of the mind determines the Adrishtapala. And the bhavana could determines the punya. Or the attitude is invisible. When a person donates, with what attitude he donates is invisible. Therefore, the Adrishtapala is also invisible. The attitude which is invisible is responsible for the Adrishtapala, which is also the invisible Papa or Punya. The Punyam and Papam is Adrishtam. The Bhavana is also Adrishtam. If someone is doing, as I said, the Dhanam, the motive with which he does this Dhanam, is it to gain something more from him, or is it to gain fame, or he wants to just show off, or he is actually giving away what he does not need, or there is some selfishness, or he wants to try to cheat somebody? That bhavana is invisible. But the act of dhanam is there. But this bhavana will determine whether it is punya or papa. This is another example that I commonly use. Two persons use a knife. Two persons in two different situations use a knife and they cut the leg of a person. Each one does cut another person's leg. And while cutting it, the life of the person is lost. Action being the same, the adrishtapala can be different. If the first one is actually a thief who is trying to escape, and when he is trying to escape, somebody comes to stop him and he cuts his leg, and while cutting the leg, the person loses the life, the thief gets papa. Now in the second case, there could be a doctor. He is trying to operate a person. Maybe this person has got lots of sugar and he wants to amputate his leg, and therefore he performs an action so that he can save his life by amputating his leg. But still the life is lost. In spite of it, he will get punya. The adrishtapala is different. The drishtapala is the same. Because the motive in the first case was to hurt, the motive in the second case was to save a life. So actions alone do not determine attitude. Actions alone do not determine adrishtapala. Whatever be the action, somebody tries to be very nice to somebody trying to be very nice in front of them, but goes behind and talks bad about the other person, the adrishtapala is different. The attitude will determine the action, will determine the karma pala. So when Bhagavan says you have right over action but not over results, he means the results depend on the adrishta bhavana. It depends not on the drishta action but on the adrishta bhavana. Now the next question can come. If the results depend on the adrishta bhavana, then why are there disparities? Why is there disparity between the attitude that I have when I actually perform the action and the results of the action. For example, I do the right thing, I actually study well, and I'm actually very nice, I'm actually doing it with full intent, proper intent, I have a good attitude, and yet I do not get a good result. Answer for this is, when the results of action come, it does not come only based on the attitude shown when performing that action. So the results of the action does not depend on the attitude when performing that action alone. It also depends on the mixture of papa and punya that we have accumulated over so many previous actions. That is why we see disparities between what I have as an attitude for a particular action and the result I get out of that particular action. I may be sincere, I may be nice, and I have done everything that I have to do for this. Yet, people find fault in me, people have issues with me, I get a bad name, I am ostracized, whatever. Because the attitude with which I performed is not the only thing that determines the result. It depends on whatever mixture of papa and punya I have had actually accumulated over so many actions. Because when the reason is the adrishta bhavana plus the adrishta punya. Whatever bhavana I have now and the adrishta punya or papa that I have accumulated, they work together when the result comes. Sometimes we put a little effort, we put very little effort, and yet we get good results. At that time we do not even consider that I am being, I am being, the world is cheating on me. I don't crib, I don't complain. At that time actually, at that point of time I would want to actually, there is a tendency among us to actually say, I deserve it. But there are multiple cases, multiple times where we have put little effort and yet we get good results. Then also you have to remember it is the same case. The adrishta pala that we had accumulated over so many actions, over so many births, had worked together. We remember and know only what we did now. Our memory is so short that we can only remember what we have done in this life only, and that too only certain things. Whatever good we have done to others, we remember. Whatever bad we have done to others, we don't remember. Similarly, we remember whatever bad others have done to us, but we don't remember whatever good others have done to us. Maybe we remember one or two, but not all. But Ishvara's computer is a supercomputer. It is huge. It's much more than a supercomputer. It will take into account all the adrishta pala, and that will give the results for the action. Therefore, what is our position? What is our position? What should be our position? Our position is, if we do not have a choice, what is the intelligent thing to do? The intelligent thing to do is to accept it. Wherever there is a choice, we have a free will. Wherever there is no choice, we have to accept it. Wherever privilege is there, you better use it. Wherever privilege is not there, you better accept it. So we should use our fullest choice before we take any course of action. Whether this is the right action, whether this is the right attitude, whether I should do it, whether I should not do it, whether I should do something else. All these things, contemplation, we can do. In fact, we should not blindly jump into action. We should do our due diligence. We should use our intelligence and our mind. But then the problem is, as I said, if our intelligence and our mind, our vasanas are so bad that it might induce us to do wrong things. So we have to get our mind cleansed. And what is the way to cleanse our mind? Easiest way is to keep performing your duties without any expectation. We'll come to that. But that is the way we can make sure that we are going towards a direction where we are able to take the right actions. So we have to be intelligent to take the right action or do the right action, but we also should be intelligent and strong to ensure that we are able to accept the result. Now, Bhagavan is adding one more twist here. So, Bhagavan has initially said, you have a right over action, but you do not have any. That is said in the first line. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. Karmaniyeva adhikaraha te. Then he says, but not over the result. Ma phaleshu kadachana. It's all said in the first line itself. Ma phaleshu kadachana. You don't have a right over the actions. Then, in the second line he qualifies, he says, in any case, it is you who determine the results of the action. It is not the other person gives this result. The world is not giving the result. Bhagavan is not being unfair. The world is not being unfair. It is you who determine the results also. How? The result of the action is determined by this attitude, the attitude that I have been performing this action, plus the attitude of so many actions that I have had over so many actions that I have performed over so many janmas. So Bhagavan says, do not let your attitude be driven by your desires. If we let our attitude be driven by our desires, then the desires need not always be noble. The desires will need not be always virtuous. The desires will not be always dharmic. And therefore, the attitude will suffer and the outcome will also suffer. So, Bhagavan says, when you are doing your duty, do it without any desire. When you are doing a duty, my duty as an employee, my duty as a parent, my duty as a spouse, my duty as a neighbor, my duty as a son or daughter, my duty as a son-in-law, daughter-in-law, my duty as a friend, my duty as a citizen. Do it without any desires. That way we will not generate any karma bala. Because once the karma bala is generated, we will undergo the consequences. There is no other option. When we do any karma, we will get either punya or papa. If we do our duty properly, we will get punya. If we do not do it properly, we will get papa. And punya or papa both create bondage. Papa will create bondage, punya will also create bondage. So any action that I do will further create bondage in this world. I will still be stuck in samsara. So how to actually overcome this? We already saw, if we do the same karma with an attitude, with the right attitude as karma yoga, instead of giving us punya or papa, it will give us chitta shuddhi. It will give us mental purity. So when karma is done with the right attitude, that is, if we are able to convert the karma into karma yoga as prescribed by Bhagavan, it will give us purity of mind and it will make us qualified for Jnana yoga. Because as we do karma yoga, we get chitta shuddhi. Our mind gets purer and purer. So what I was saying, Bhagavan says, where did we start this? Bhagavan says, this action, this result, you don't have a choice, but it is not determined by the world, it is determined by you. Second line, ma karma phalaheturbuhu ma te sanko stvakarmani. Ma abuhu. Ma abuhu means may you not be. How not? karma phala hetuhu, motivated by the results of action. May you not be motivated by the results of the action. What does that mean? The second line, we will probably see it in the next class. This is an important shloka. So we will see again in the next class. So we'll see again in the next class. Any questions or comments before we stop? Okay. If not, we'll see again in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate.
Today we are having a lot of disturbance and lag. Is it just me or everybody feels it?
No, even I